Okay, I'm going to give my initial thoughts and feelings of the episode 9 trailer. Overall, it was an excellent trailer, and I'm not just saying that because I'm a shill for Star Wars. It was excellent, and here are the reasons why. I'm glad that they just finished the trailer off in a very straightforward way. They didn't have oh shit, that's the Emperor's voice. Oh shit, that's the Emperor's laugh. Or like the D23 behind the scenes featurette with what looks to be Dark Side Ray with what I must say is the baddest ass lightsaber since Darth Maul. So I'm glad they didn't go that route. I was expecting them to go like some big, stinger reveal at the end. They didn't do it, so I'm very happy for that. The overall trailer had it had a hopeful Return of the Jedi-esque feel, much different than Revenge of the Sith, which was, of course, the culmination of the prequels, because you knew how that one was going to go down. It wasn't going to have you knew hope was coming because of Luke and Leia, but it was generally just going to be a gut punch. This one, I can see that happening because you've got basically the whole good of the galaxy coming against what looks like probably the end-all, be-all apocalypse of the Emperor and all of his, dealings and what he's planned. I'll give some context real quick, and this is for all the people who have just watched the movies that they haven't really, delved really deep into the comics, the books, the video games. Palpatine had like multiple contingency plans. What that means is in the event that he were to die, in his view, the Empire didn't deserve to keep going on because if he's dead, then they have completely failed him. So in his mind, nobody is worth anything. In the Battlefront 2 game that I've played, which is excellent, by the way, Jakku was a source of one of Palpatine's many contingency plans. There was a observatory on Jakku that he kind of like wrangled in the remnants of the Empire and the remnants of the rebels a year or so after Endor, that they were going to have this final battle, and it just happened to be above Jakku because Jakku had come to find out that there was an observatory there. Little did anybody know that Palpatine had set contingency, things to come into motion, that once both the fleets of the Empire and the whole of the rebels that were above Jakku, that he was basically going to nuke Jakku and take everybody out. That means good guys, bad guys, everything's over. And then the Force somehow starts over, per se. Luckily, that was stopped. That's why in The Force Awakens, you see basically an Empire graveyard of Star Destroyers, TIE Fighters, you see X-Wings. That's what that is. The Battle of Jakku was portrayed in that game. So nobody knew that. So, but the Emperor had contingency plan upon contingency plan upon contingency plan. So if one thing didn't work out, something else came into his place, yada, yada. That's why he's back. This is like if he had like plans A through D, this is Z. Like, this is the end-all, be-all. That's why in the D23 footage, you saw like a lightning strike in space, and you saw a sky full of perfectly formed Star Destroyer fleets. Those aren't the First Order. If you look at them, they have the two round obelisks on the deck part, on the very top. So that's an Imperial Star Destroyer. That's not a First Order Star Destroyer. So that's how you kind of go back and think like, okay, this has been in the works for probably forever and a day, and now that the Emperor has come back, that's why in the trailer you saw the rebels, like when you came down and you saw the Falcon fly in front, and you have a scene behind you that made my I got goosebumps all over. It's like, my God, that makes the battle Return of the Jedi look like a little space skirmish compared to how many ships were in behind it. And also, fun fact, if you look at the Falcon and look to the right of the Falcon, the Ghost from Rebels was there too. So I'm going to kind of freak out when I see that live in the theater. But that's why so many ships are there. So again, I went on a ramble, but that's like context to it. I'm glad that Finn and Poe seem to have a lot more to do in this. I'm glad to see C-3PO and R2. Straight up, I don't know anything. This is just my gut feeling. C-3PO is going to die. And not only is he going to die, he's going to go out like to be the hero of all heroes. Because how ironic and how satisfying would it be that the droid since A New Hope that ran from any bit of danger is the one that saves the day. And I don't know, but I think he's getting hardwired, because I don't see how that many ships, how the Resistance, which was reduced to nothing at the end of The Last Jedi, how they've been able to get enough pilots in the galaxy to fly all those, and plus fly them well. I think what you're seeing, again, I could be wrong, this is just my guess. I think that C-3PO is being hardwired into like a mainframe somewhere that can control the fleet that they find. That's hence why in the D-23, his eyes went red. Not because he's evil. I believe they hardwire into him and he goes into like battle mode. I could be wrong. If I am, it's totally fine. But if I'm right, I will lose my ever-loving shit in the movie theater. Because, I mean, again, R2 has been the hero since day one. How many times has he saved everybody's asses? And C-3PO is the one over in the corner just bumbling around, running away from it. What if he ends up being the thing that saves all of them? Like, you've got some main pilots in some of the ships, but he's basically controlling the rest of the ships. Because where Rey is running in the beginning is not Endor. That's Yavin 4. That's the jungle world of Yavin 4. Like that Corvette cruiser that they pull, looks like it comes out of the jungle. That looks like Leia's ship from A New Hope. I believe they go back to Yavin 4 and get what's left of, the ships that they had to abandon and everything like that to create a fleet. I think they do what Palpatine does, but just in a weird way. They have to scavenge and scrounge up any and all ships. And I truly, truly, truly believe that's why C-3PO is saying, I'm looking at my friends for one last time. I believe that little dude is hardwiring himself into like a control mainframe, and that dude's going to pilot most of the fleet himself. Because he's always talked about, I'm fluent in more than 6 million forms of communication. I can do this and that. What if he goes out as like the man? I would love that. That's my own headcanon, but that's part of the fun of speculating, is that you can go. The other thing, when Kylo and Rey smashed in unison what looks like to be the altar of Vader, because if you freeze frame it, and yes, I've watched it 21 times by now, so don't judge me. But when you freeze frame it and then put it on slow motion, the top of that obelisk, that looks like granite obelisk that they break, has Vader's helmet fly off of it. So I believe Kylo, maybe, in a moment of something is triggered, and it's like, when, if I'm going to be the man, I've got to quit looking at the past, and just destroys it. Because I didn't see it the first 10 times I watched the trailer, and I looked at it and was like, that piece that flies off to the right has holes in it. And I said, I bet you that's Vader's mask. So I watched it on my iPad, paused it, and then just did the slowest frame rate to keep going forward. And when you pop up, that's the thing that flies off on the top. It's like a blink if you miss it type moment, but that's Vader's helmet. So that's kind of cool. The Emperor, of course, talking. I believe the last shot when Rey's just looking up there, like, completely deadpan face. That I think that's when she sees the Emperor. I'm trying to think what else. I think that's pretty much it. Now, the Death Star wreckage, I still don't know where that's at. I mean, I can only, did it wreck on the forest moon of Endor? If not, then if they did, then the forest moon of Endor has gone through some global warming, because it looks like it's nothing but water now. So either it's another one of the moons of Endor, or maybe it's Endor itself, because we saw the forest moon of Endor. Maybe it's Endor itself, because that was just one of the moons, the many moons of Endor that we saw in Return of the Jedi. So maybe it has a water moon or whatever, kind of like Episode 2, where Kamino, the planet Kamino, which was just a water planet where they did all the clones of Boba Fett. Of Jango Fett. I'm sorry, Jango Fett. Maybe it's like Kamino, it's all water planet. Who knows? But the wreckage is there. So I mean. And that shot of them standing in the old throne room, getting ready to get to it, lightsaber battle wise, that one was amazing. But those are my overall general thoughts, feelings of what I saw. I'm not going to try to speculate anymore because I want to kind of go into it happy, and I'll cry like a baby when I see Lando and the Falcon. I'm just saying it right up front. There's no Lando and Chewie and the Falcon. That just I'll die dead when I see that finally. So I hope this provides some kind of decent insight. Hope everybody's having a great day, and go watch the trailer a couple dozen more times for me. That way I don't feel so bad about watching it too many times myself.